Hey, welcome back to Live on Purpose TV. Today we're talking about how to overcome frustration at work. Frustration has to do with unmet expectations. Notice that right up front. Where's it coming from? Well, I expect things to be a certain way. They're not that way. That leads to feelings of frustration. That alone probably will give you some ideas of what you can do with this. You remember, right, that some things you control and other things you don't. Let's get really clear about that. We spend time and energy and sometimes money and resources on things we have no control over. Well, that can be, by definition, frustrating. It would be far less frustrating to focus on the things that we do control. Two of those come to mind immediately. We can always, regardless of the circumstances or the context, we can always control our view. By view, I mean perception. Our perception of what's going on. Even though we don't control the event itself, how we see that event is something that is within our control. We've spent time in other videos talking about perception and why that's so important. In fact, if you'll go back to that very first video on this channel, it's the introductory video when you open up the channel about how to stay positive no matter what. You can link to it right up there. That helps you to see where your choice is in perception. No matter how bad things seem, they could always be worse. No matter how good things seem, they could always be better. Or worse, it goes both directions. Realizing that we can look either way to make our comparison. Look, where I am right here in the middle could always be better and it could always be worse. So how I view it is a choice. We always control our view. What else do we control? Our do. Our do, what we're going to do about it. This gets to the creation side of the model that we shared in that other video. We're going to move forward from here to somewhere. And since it could always be better and it could always be worse than it is right now, we get to choose which direction we want to go. We control our do. A colleague of mine pointed out, hey Paul, that's view do. View do? What does view do? Well, it's what you always control. What if we practiced a little view do to manage the frustrations that we're feeling? We can always change our view. We can always change our do. So starting with the view part of that, let's become more conscious about our evaluation process. I already mentioned that frustration is usually tied to a position, a belief, a perception that things are not the way they should be. Or are they? Do you know? For sure? I mean, do you have some cosmic connection to the grand scheme of everything that tells you for sure that things are not the way they should be? Why, no, you don't. Would that connection tell you that they are the way they should be? Well, you don't have that connection, so you don't know. Either way, pick a position. When we take a position that things are exactly as they should be. Will you try this just for a moment? Just wrap your head around that idea for a moment. Take whatever it is that's got you frustrated and think this on purpose. Things are exactly as they should be. What do you notice? You're going to notice a couple of things. One of those things is you got a fight on your hands, or more realistically in your mind, right? Because you've been thinking something else, like things are not the way they should be. When you say things are exactly as they should be, And I want you to say it with a little lilt to your voice, okay? Raise your eyebrows just a touch. Wrap your head around this in a way that you can consider it. Things are exactly the way they should be. And then notice the resistance that comes up from your subconscious mind. No, they're not. How could this be the way things should be? It should be different than it is. Pause. Take a look. Ask it as a question, not a statement disguised as a question. How could this be the way things should be? See, it's not even a question. It's a statement. Go back to the question. How could this be exactly the way that it should be? Look back on your experience. You will find times when a difficult, painful, challenging, frustrating situation was exactly what you needed to learn that principle, to connect with that person, to open up that particular opportunity. You can see this in retrospect. Bring it to the present so that you can see that whatever you're experiencing right now is exactly what it should be, even if you're not sure why that's true. Take that position, see what happens. That's the view part. If we're going to practice view-do, we need both parts. Let's look at the do. Again, thinking of the frustrating situation or context, ask this question. What could I do about this? This is powerful. And sometimes there's nothing, because some things you control and other things you don't. If you're in the circumstance, there's always something you could do about or around or because of or despite whatever the circumstance is. That's the question. What could I do about or in this circumstance? That opens up all kinds of possibilities. And focusing on what you control, not what you don't, you'll be able to come up with some ideas. Let's say that it's a circumstance where somebody else is misbehaving. I know that probably never happens to you, but just pretend that for a minute. What can I do about this? Well, I can't change their behavior. And folks, avoid the temptation to think of all the things that somebody else could, would, or should do. That's misleading and probably more frustrating because you don't control that. So put that aside, get back to asking, what can I do about this? And it might be as simple as, well, I can change my view. I can allow this to entertain me rather than frustrate me. Would that be a choice? I think it might be. I could practice gratitude rather than guilt. I could learn something from this. Oh, that might be helpful. I could use this as an example of that point that I'm trying to teach. Yeah, see, there's no useless experience in life. It could always be used as an example, right? So what can I do about this? Puts us back in position where we actually have some choice and control. View-do. That's the way we're going to deal with the frustrations. This is going to apply in a lot of other contexts, not just work. I'm so glad that you're here. If this is your first visit to Live on Purpose TV, click on that subscribe button right down there.